Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let's all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. So the January minutes and February claim docket has been presented to everybody at the table. Any questions?
I didn't see anything to question.
I make a motion that we approve the January minutes and February claim docket.
All right, I have a first motion.
I will second that motion.
Second from Dave, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, those are accepted. First item with old business, we are going to close our regular business meeting now and open a public hearing for a change in our wastewater fee for commercial users. Last month we talked about this. It had been calculated to be $86.13. We're getting rid of the 13 cents to make it more sensible for bookkeeping. So it's going to be dropped to $86 even. So public hearing is now open for any discussion from the public. We have 5 viewers online. I don't see any questions from them at this time. Okay, no questions or comments from the general public for the public hearing, so we're going to close the public hearing and move on to adopting the ordinance.
I make a motion that we adopt the ordinance 2021-02 for ordinance commercial sewer rate to $86.
Okay, got a first?
Second?
Got a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we've adopted the ordinance just in the nick of time for Jenny to send out the bills next month. All right, next. All right, next thing on old business is last month, Wessler Engineering brought a proposal for a basically an on-call service where we have a contract, and if we need them, we would use that contract rates and those kind of things for service. Everybody get a chance to review that contract that Brad presented us last month. Any questions on the information in this contract? Okay. Does anybody want to present a motion?
I would make a motion to accept the contract.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
All right, got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, next thing on the old business was the deputy clerk treasurer position. We wanted to find a way to, one, get Jenny help she needs to comply with the State Board of Accounts and our internal controls. Two, with kind of the role I've been filling the last 41 days. Jenny is busier than a one-armed paper hanger in there, so I think having some extra help from a deputy clerk would be a huge benefit, especially right now she had to prepare the year-end report. She had W-2s to send out. She has still her regular duties of wastewater bills to send and so on and so forth. So the big complication was we already passed our budget and our, salary ordinance for this year, although we can, work to, rearrange those if we needed to.
I had one question about what you sent in your email.
Okay, yeah, I sent an email on some calculations with, I think $17 an hour is what I
Right.
calculated up, and if they work a maximum of 5 hours a week, well, that would come out to be about 44,
44.20.
44 a year.
Then you went to add to continue to pay her $1,000 for the 2 weeks Jenny was on vacation, so are we upping her, this is for the deputy
Deputy clerk,
clerk,
right?
so we're gonna pay her $1,000 for the 2 weeks, so basically $500 a week during Jenny's vacation time. No? Am I getting that wrong?
No, you're getting that right, because that's what we've already, I mean, that's what we've traditionally done, correct? When you were on vacation, we would pay her,
Whoever
Judy.
came into work for me, Judy usually, yes.
so whoever took Jenny's place during her vacation, they got paid $1,000.
But if she's getting paid for working while I'm on vacation, then she shouldn't be getting paid for the other,
Right, I just wanted to make sure we weren't,
yeah. she-
Double-
Oh, okay,
doubling
yeah,
up.
sorry, I
Yeah.
guess I didn't clarify that.
Yeah,
During the time when Jenny's on vacation, that's the only money she's getting. She's not getting the other $17 an hour on top of that, sorry.
okay.
So, I just didn't wanna take the $1,000 away from her while Jenny's on vacation, cause she's doing,
and sometimes I don't even go anywhere, so I don't even need anyone for 2 weeks.
So you don't need vacation, is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh.
I love it here.
so I was envisioning, having, these numbers in there as the if needed maximum kind of thing. So if you don't need, the, help for that 2 weeks vacation, or you don't need 5 hours a week, that's fine.
Right.
It's when,
Up
and
to 5
according to the statute in Indiana code, the deputy clerk is your employee, so you get to say when they're needed here, when they're not, and so on and so forth. So 1 week you need her 2 hours, but then the next week you don't need any, that's fine.
Okay.
The only other question I guess for the group would be, like in this first part of the year, Jenny does have, like I said, she has to do a lot of year-end report stuff for 2020 is what she's been working on. And if she feels like she needs more than 5 hours in 1 week, can we word it to where if she only needed Judy 2 hours the first week, can it be like rollover minutes? So if she use Judy for 7 hours 1 week, as long as it averages out to a 5 hours a week maximum. Any thoughts on that? Graham, you have any? Do you think that would be legally, we could word that in a way that we
How are
would
you?
comply with
Good.
the law for wage and labor and those kind of things? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the salary ordinance is gonna have a line item for her for the
Yes.
year, right?
right.
Now what about when she cleans up, is that,
No, see, that's a whole different thing too.
how she cleans?
Oh, is it the same Judy?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just thought you knew a whole lot of Judys. I thought you just knew lots and lots of Judys.
That
But,
was done for,
Um,
1 year.
yeah, I mean, as long as her roles are identified
Right.
with what she's doing here, I don't think that would be a problem.
And how are those hours tracked? I mean, do you use some kind of, just write them down, or is that recorded somewhere?
She fills out a
one?
Like time sheet thing,
Okay.
per state board of accounts.
Yeah, so if we had a timesheet that said
Yeah, it would say.
cleaning services, timesheet that said
Yes,
deputy clerk duties,
right.
and then a timesheet maybe even that says, you know, she's the full-fledged clerk while you're on vacation that 2 weeks if you go.
Yeah.
Multitask.
Yeah. She was trying to do some electrical work in here today too on that,
I wish you could do some
the one she
AC,
wrote.
HVAC work.
Shut that off.
Alright, so any other, discussion on the deputy clerk and what we wanna try and accomplish there?
Do we need to make a motion on that?
I think we need to have a drafted amended salary ordinance.
Yeah, that'll have to probably be next month where we would finalize that, and like, how difficult is this gonna be to move money in our budget to cover 4,400?
I'm gonna have to find it.
I'm like, it's $4,400, which isn't, you know, a ton, but with the State Board of Accounts, you can't just move it without a reason, so we have to figure out how to do that.
We can probably find some.
Okay,
We did get all of our, CARES Act money back, so
which was 13,000,
13,662 or something, and then the police money was 10,000 and something, but I'm not real sure where that has to go. Whether it has to go back into just the general fund, cause I can put the, CARES Act money back into the purchase and renovation that I took it out of to pay for all this, but we didn't do anything with the police money, so I'm not real sure what I have to do with that.
Could it go back in salaries?
If we go in Judy's salary.
That's not, I mean, to go back into salaries, that's where it came from.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to check with Kevin that was here the other day and see what he said.
That'd cover it all. And
Yeah, it
some.
should go back where it came from.
I'll check.
yeah, if we're allowed to move that money into there and split it up, that would be perfect. Alright. Any other questions or comments on that? So we'll put that together for next month and then, amend our salary ordinance and our budget accordingly. Alright, next thing, we talked last month, again related to our internal controls. This issue, one of the audit parts they found, we were paying late fees on some things. Then the State Board of Accounts mentioned that there's a state statute in Indiana code that allows us to pass an ordinance that lets Jenny pay these vendors and bills prior to us meeting in order to be able to avoid those late fees. So we just need to put together that ordinance and know, and then mention who those specific vendors are that Jenny's wanting to pay.
Right now, it's, Verizon, Walmart, and then the PNC got changed, the date that it was due. I called them and they changed the date so that it's not due until like the 23rd or something like that, but Walmart and Verizon are always due at times.
Okay.
Did
So we
you
would-
have to say the specific person, or can you just say if it's due?
From what I remember reading it, you had to mention it specific, but I can read that again.
Okay.
But we can work on that, before next month's meeting and formalize it. So, and then we can get that information back to Graham on what the ordinance would need to say for that. Any other questions on that? Okay, moving on to new business then. I have an email from Baker Tilly, which this is not on your agenda, sorry, I'm adding it in. Baker Tilly, Kevin has been helping Jenny with the year-end report and some other things, and what some of the State Board of Accounts requirements that they brought up is we have to have a capital asset ledger that kind of keeps track of all of the capital assets we have as a town. And then Baker Tilly will create, basically, it acts like an Excel spreadsheet kind of a thing, and we will then have that on there, and then all Jenny would have to do if we purchase or sell equipment is just update that. So they'll create this for us based on their initial conversations with us here. They estimate that will cost between $5,000 and $10,000 to create this official ledger for us.
Do they manage then and back it up so it's not lost?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so. But Jenny would have full,
Access.
yeah, access and, what am I trying to think? Authorship of putting in things or taking things out as needed.
Okay.
Or anybody in the clerk treasurer role, so even her deputy clerk treasurer could do that for her.
Right. What amount is considered capital asset? Do we have to record?
According to our insurance company, it goes down pretty low, cause.
Yeah, but we have a ordinance in there, and I believe it says 5,000,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
anything 5,000 or over.
That's what it is at
We
IU.
haven't changed it less, I mean, it can always be.
Yeah, I don't know. They had, on that list that the insurance company had, they had like like the air compressor and, yeah, it was, I thought that was kinda low for that, but if we go with the $5,000, then that, anything that we own that's 5,000 or more.
Some of that we might need to update anyhow, because Petey's got another compressor downtown garage now, because that other one died, and he went out and got another one, so.
Yeah, I don't think it was more than 5,000 though, was it?
No, it didn't.
So, but that would be helpful, cause then Jenny could just update stuff
Yeah,
as we
helpful for everybody.
purchase things or
Yeah.
sell things or, yeah, so.
And he said it's not something that has to be done right this minute, I mean, you know, he can work on it all year as long as it's done before the next audit or the next, year-end report. But he, you know, he can get the information that I have and get started on it,
Okay,
if you guys want.
Did I hear you correctly, it's 5,000 to 10,000 for him to do this?
that was their estimate at this point in time. He wasn't sure exactly yet, but as,
5,000 seems like a lot, and 10,000 seems outrageous. What do we get for, I mean, he's gotta be doing something more than putting numbers in a spreadsheet.
But he's going back like about 7 years to get everything up to date.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have, you can find, you can try to get a bid from somebody else too, you don't have to take that one, that's up to you.
any other discussion then on that? Any other questions or thoughts? We can table it until next month and, you know, look at options if you want.
Right, and is that 5 to 10K, is that based off of the amount of stuff he has to import in and record, or is that depending on how many hours he has to work on it. How is that rated?
Well, and I don't know if he would, I mean, if I were doing a spreadsheet like this, I would wanna put eyes on the actual items that I
Yeah,
was
'cause I have to
categorized,
send
so
out-
he might
Whatever it is, I'm gonna have to,
send his,
I'm
I
gonna have to
mean,
get
he's,
everything together and send it to him.
yeah, so,
He
you know, he
faxes,
might
just faxes.
spend time
And
here,
it'll just be an hourly, it'll be an hourly
Right.
rate.
Okay.
so that's. Okay, well, we can table this until next month and we can do our research and find out if there are other ways to get this same thing accomplished. And then talk about it again in March. Alright. Next on our new business, I have added in Rob Miranda. He's gonna talk to us about planning commission, information as well as BZA stuff, I guess, right?
I really don't have much on the BZA tonight, but we met last Monday. We had or Tuesday, Tuesday. We moved them from Mondays to Tuesdays. Tuesday we had a meeting with the planning and building, and we adopted the UDO as presented to us and been revised. So basically, this puts the ball in your guys' court to go through and review it. You have to have a public hearing and adopt it. And that brings our ordinances all under one window, one book. Kind of cleans that up so that we can find all those things. We've been working on this for at least a year and a half, that I can remember. But it will just clean those things up. So it just kind of, we're passing this on to you, just kind of, 3 of the members are on that, on that board. For you guys to hold your public hearing for public input and then adopt it as you see fit. We are working on the fee schedule currently that we will insert into that for your, anytime you're doing building, planning, whatever, those fees that are adopted through that. We're going through and looking at what's going on in the county from other towns our size, that kind of stuff, see what those numbers should look like. So basically that's all I got on that. The second item I had was as a building and planning board, we were wanting to know as these fees come in, if there's a percentage of that could be put off into a budget as we go to develop, go talk to people about annexation, or if we work with developers and we need to put some of these kinds of paperwork together for presentations and stuff in those meetings. So we've got a little money to spend on that. We're not looking for huge dollar numbers. Thought maybe if it was just driven off a percentage of the fees that come in, that might make some sense. If you've got a $400 application fee, if building and planning got 20% of that just to use for those things. Just something I'm asking for you guys to look at. It's nothing we have to have tonight. We don't have anything major going on at the moment. We are trying to look at some other things. But, that's really all I got.
Okay, any questions for Rob Miranda from the group?
The ordinances that you're reviewing, those range from what to what?
Okay, so this is all the ordinances. It's been put into one book. So that it's not, well, this ordinance was here, this ordinance is here, this will unify all these together so that if someone comes in and has a question, you can go to that section of the book and find everything that would pertain to that.
Including if you'd have chickens in town or...
No.
All that will be,
No.
no, that
No,
doesn't
no.
have the,
This UDO combined subdivision control
right.
and building and planning ordinances
Okay.
only. So
So-
it doesn't have anything to do with, like can you park in this parking space or can you
Okay.
burn in your backyard or anything like that.
I
This
thought
is,
that was all under subdivision control though.
no, this
Okay.
is, this has to do with, how big can your house be when you're in R2? How big can your house be when you're in R5? Can a business in town, or can a building in a town business district have, apartments on the first floor whatever. So that's, UDO has just, building and planning and subdivision control and, you know.
And all the paperwork that you have to have. to
Right,
do
the
all that.
application stuff.
Yeah.
For getting things built or, you know, whatever, which, you know, we're still, trying to work on the application packet part, but the UDO itself, basically GRW took all of those ordinances that we had that pertain to building and planning and subdivision, and they put it all together and kind of cleaned it up, made it nice and neat. There is a book in the manager's office in here if you want to take it and look at it. We also have a PDF version of it that we posted on our website. Dave put that on our website a couple weeks ago, and it's so you can look at it online if you want as well. But it basically, if you know, somebody down the street here says they want to remodel their bathroom, this tells them, you know, kind of what steps they need to go through for that. Do they need a building permit or a remodel permit or whatever it might be.
The idea is to get the information out to the people so they're not, and it makes it easier for us as a community. You know, somebody can go online and find it or come in here and find it in the book. Just get the information out better.
Yeah, it's been officially adopted by the Plan Commission.
Right.
In order for it to be official for the town, though, this board has to adopt it after a public hearing.
Okay.
So we would have to put out a notice 10 days before our March meeting and give everybody an opportunity to view it again and then decide whether or not we want to adopt it. Any other questions for Rob?
I have there's a section on the town's website for planning commission and stuff, so if you guys ever want more items posted up
okay.
on there, let me know and I can get them put up on there.
As we push through some items we're trying to look through, we might do that, because especially as we try to look for annexation and stuff like that, that might be something good to.
Yeah, we already have some annexation information on there that Dan posted. I think those charts are up on there and some
Yes.
other information, but you know, anytime you want to put something up on there.
That'd be great. I think that might help us with just some.
And one of the primary focus, or a focus at least, of the Plan Commission this year is the comprehensive plan, or updating that. So we will definitely need to, you know, get some information out about that, and we have to do surveys, which, as Rob was talking about, paying for a mass mailing of surveys could come out of some of the fees that he was talking about, or come out of the general fund, either way.
I mean, currently, I think it's all been coming out of the general fund, and that's fine to operate for now, but we just thought it might make it cleaner to some degree if we knew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have anything big coming, but if we would happen to get somebody that comes in and wants to do a large development on the south or north edge of town, where we're gonna have some, you know, public hearings and those kinds of things, we're gonna have some reason to have some very detailed information. It might be, you know, necessary to have a little available. Not looking for, like I said, I don't think it's anything huge, just trying to plan for future. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. All right, so next on my new business is update on sewer project bids from Darren Watts.
Good evening. I'll pass out a few items here. These are the original bids, actually. They're your copies. Oh.
Thank you.
So what I've handed out, 3 separate documents, 2 of which are bid tabulations, and another one's sort of a summary that kind of talks about the financial significance of the kind of the options that we could be pursuing here for the SRF loan. So I guess I'll start off with contract A, which is the sewer rehabilitation project. And, so that first bid tabulation, it's rather lengthy, there's 4 pages to it. But there's a lot of, unit price items associated with that project. So we had 5 general contractors on that project, that picked up a set of plans. We opened bids back on February 4th. Doug, you were in attendance, we did it here. We only received 2 bids of the 5 that we received 2 bids. We didn't know how many we're going to actually bid. It was In Situ Form Technologies and then Granite Inliner were the 2 bidders on this project. However, one of the bidders, Granite Inliner, did not acknowledge a couple of the addenda items that we put out, specifically an addendum item that changed some of the bid quantities prior to bid. We sent out, our last addendum was sent out 2 days prior to the bid opening, which might seem a little tight. It's pretty realistic in our industry. And at that time, Granite Inliner indicated to us that they already mailed out the bid, so they don't have time to make any changes to the bid. So either accept the bid or whatever. They didn't want to pursue it any further than that. So the bid tabulations that you're seeing in front of you, they're like the yellow highlighted boxes. Those would be incorrect numbers because it's the wrong quantities, because they did not acknowledge the addendum that changed the quantities. Where In Situ Form did acknowledge everything correctly, and the numbers that you see in front of you are the correct numbers. And kind of in summary, there are 6 different zones that we created in the contract A project. And that's what you're seeing on the bid tabulation. There's 6 different zones. We had a base bid and then a mandatory additive alternate to each zone. And if you look at the totality of all the zones, In Situ Form's total bid, base bid, was $900,161.70. Granite Inliners was $854,797, so they were lower, but again, that's not a real number to use at this point. It's an inaccurate bid quantity. So, I mean, we spoke with Graham about this the other day, and Doug as well, and at this point, we believe that the Granite Inliner bid is a non-responsive bid because of their lack of acknowledging the addenda, 2 of the addenda items out of the 3. Whereas In Situ Form acknowledged everything correctly, even though they were slightly higher. Both bids were competitive in reality, so we don't think In Situ Form's bid was out of line, even though they were slightly higher bid than Granite Inliners. But we don't know where Granite Inliner would have fell anyway with their number when all was said and done. So any questions just on what I've just sort of explained at that point, at this point?
Where are you getting the numbers of how much we're doing?
The very last sheet should be a total, the very bottom number should be your totality. Yeah. Page 4, you'll see a total base bid, then a total mandatory additive alternate bid, and then a total bid. Now, the additive alternate was just something that we sort of added into the project just to see where numbers might fall if there was an opportunity kind of a la carte style to do some of that work. And that was mainly a dig and replace of the sewer laterals on the project. Those numbers came in significantly higher than we've seen in our industry for other communities that we've worked with. So that wasn't even something we would even consider to even try to pursue at all. And that was actually above and beyond what we even discussed in the PER that we wrote about anyway. So the base bid project is truly the project that we'd be pursuing at this point. So our budget for contract A in the PER was $843,000. So again, with 6 zones, we kind of had the flexibility to kind of pick the projects to meet the budget. So there were several scenarios to look at, and that's sort of well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. we cannot do all 6 zones and meet the 843,000 budget. There's 4 to 5 zones that we could satisfy to meet that $843,000 budget. So you're getting a pretty good chunk of what we anticipated to be done on this project, actually more so than we originally assumed in the PDR. We only assumed that about 20% of your system was going to be lined in our PDR, but by going to the 843,000 budget using the bid number from in situ form, you're approaching 40% of your system. So it's a very good value. I'll table that for a moment because contract B1 is going to play into all this when we kind of come into where we might need to go here. So contract B1 was just the quotation package that we submitted to that we invited specific contractors to do, and that was the north wastewater plant tank rehab. It was mainly a painting rehab of the north tank at the plant, and then some miscellaneous aeration replacements for some failing and deteriorated parts. So our original estimate was that number would be $150,000 or lower, so we did it as a quotation package. We invited 4 general contractors to submit a quote, and then 4 painting subcontractors to submit a quote. Not knowing would the painting contractor be the lead or would the general be the lead and vice versa, since the painting is the bigger part of the project. We received 2 quotes, one from Graves Construction and one from Maddox Industrial. Both, I think Graves did your plant work on one of your tank rehabs just a few years ago, so they're familiar with your plant. I think Maddox has also done some miscellaneous upgrades at your plant for some things, George, is that correct?
Yeah, it's been a while, back some time ago.
So those 2 quotes that we got, and that would be on the second tabulation sheet that I handed out to you. Unfortunately, those numbers didn't come in as well as we hoped. So our estimate was $150,000. Both quoters, Graves came in at $242,424, and Maddox came in at $258,750. So significantly higher. And the genesis of where we came with the 150, just before I fall on the sword here. We received, Dan Slattery back mid last year, got quotes from Odal Painting to recoat all the tanks. The north tank was broken out separately from the other tanks. The north tank proposal that Odal did or gave them was $81,000. So we utilized that number, bumped that number up because there's going to be an inflationary effect to it, and our system was a little bit more robust than what Odal was doing. Not to mention we had some aeration improvements and stuff like that. But we thought the $150,000 would more than cover that based on this quote. And it didn't. I mean, the quotes blew it out of the water. I have pursued contact with Odal and with the contractor to kind of figure out, hey, where are the numbers falling here? To this moment, I have not received any feedback yet. So I'm still going to pursue that angle to see what's going on. But I think the bottom line here is, though, because you had 2 quotes that were fairly close together and competitive, that's probably where the number is. 150 just was not going to happen unless scope was cut dramatically or an inferior quality coding system was used or something. So when you put all that together, that's that 3rd page I have, where you see options 1, 2, 2, and 3, I believe. I'm sorry, options 1 through 4. So what I'm showing here is kind of a summary of contracts A and contract B1, what your PER or what our budget was for the SRF loan, and kind of the a la carte that we can do to try to hit that budget. So, for example, option 1 is everything. It's contract A, all 6 zones. Contract B1, it's contract A assuming in situ form is the way that we're going to pursue this. Contract B1 with Graves Construction, the low quoter on that contract. If you add those 2 together, A plus B1, you'll get, I'm just rounding numbers here, $1.14 million. Applying about a 5% contingency on this project, or these projects, which we believe is reasonable for this type of scope because of the detail and the type of work that it is. It can't fall too much out of line here. Gets you a total of about $1.197 million. Again, the PER budget was $843,000 for contract A, $150,000 for contract B1, or $993,000 in totality. So if you apply the total required minus the PR budget, you have an overage of $204,000, or roughly $205,000 of additional loan that you would have to get from SRF if you want to pursue the everything package. Option 2 kind of backs off of that, again, trying to get more to that budget, where in option 2, we're doing everything on contract A except for the zone 6, the school system, what we call the school system, which is an upstream portion of your system. That's $775,000 plus contract B1 again with Graves. Adding that up with contingency, it's at 1.07 million. Subtract the 993 budget, the difference is $74,000. And then option 3 is taking contract A, or actually option 3 is option 4, very similar. The only difference is that we're taking zone 4 of the collection system in option 3 and zone 5 for option 4. And as you go through the same math that you see in the spreadsheet here, it pretty much puts you right at budget, or actually better than budget, to the SRF loan of that 993. And in speaking with Dean Rogers with Baker Tilly, if you went the all-inclusive option 1 thing, your rates would not be impacted per se, but what would happen is that they would work the numbers so that your annual operational allowance for replacements in your system that was being budgeted when we were doing the PR would have to be reduced. I think right now he's using a placeholder, or a number around $75,000 for annual replacements. That number would have to go down to 60,000 plus or minus to do all of option 1 with that additional SRF loan of 200,000. Then if you did option 2, the slightly lesser scope, it would your operational budget go from 75,000 about $70,000. So not that bad. And then option 3 again would be right at budget, so there would be no reduction of your annual allowance. Same with option 4. I've highlighted option 3 in the yellow as the recommended project because it does way more than what we anticipate in the system. So it's covering again almost 40% of your system, which is excellent. And it meets our PR budget or SRF loan original budgeting that we did, so it won't tap into any of your current annual replacements, and your current sewer user charge will be fine with this. So in summary, I guess what I'm going to be asking for tonight is take this under consideration. We have a March 17th pre-closing date for this SRF loan. So if there's concern that the bids that we received, that you want to go to a rebid format because A, you want to get more contractors in contract A, and or revisit contract B1 to see if you can get better bids, or we can change the scope or whatever to get it back to that $150,000. We'd have to move on that rather quickly here. But I also I'm not convinced that, or GRW is not convinced that rebidding any of these jobs would lead to a betterment to the project anyway, because A, you might not get the same bidders, you might not get any bids on the job, it's a risk, and if you do get bidders, you might get a higher number. The contractors that bid a couple weeks ago might be busier now, have new jobs on hand. A month from now, they might not bid, or we'll just throw out a courtesy bid of a high number, and then you might be stuck with that one instead of what you have here.
How do we know that we didn't get a courtesy bid of a high dollar amount from both Graves and Maddox anyway?
Given the competition of it, those two numbers are very close together.
They're way off from what you guys estimated.
They are, but they're competitive with each other. So I mean, if I'm going to be a betting man, GRW's number was wrong, their number was right, or more right than ours.
And just so you know, you do have the right to rebid either of these.
Correct.
I mean, that is a legal option you have. If you want to award to the higher of the two, right, so kick out the non-responsive one, then there's some specific things that we need to do in the minutes. You basically have to find that they're non-responsive, okay? So those are options.
What you're saying is, on
right on the money, actually. Yeah. Again, it gets you a lot more of the collection system than we anticipated, which is a great thing. Yes, the painting of the north tank was higher than budgeted, and we certainly would prefer it to be a lower amount so you can do more on contract A. But again, you're getting a good deal of work done on contract A. And then your annual replacement budget, that $75,000 can be applied year in, year out to do more collection system work, as was anticipated anyway, to keep that going.
So you're saying if we rebid these, the bids that we got, they're out?
You have to formally, you can't keep an open bid and then go to another bid. You have to reject these, all of them, and then we go through a full rebid.
Sure, I understood that already. Sounded to me like you get bids out, they're just not coming back. Not say if you put out 4 or 6 of them, you're not gonna get 6 back.
Well, there's no guarantee. Yeah, I can't, that's a rolling of the dice that we'll have to take as a risk. You could get a bidder that comes in at a better value. I'm not saying it won't happen. History has shown on some of the bids that we've done, it's not typically lower, it's higher. And both of these projects are important projects. I don't think we cancel any of them, just don't do them, or part of them. The north tank being rehabbed is an important step to take, as well as the collection system rehab.
Well, I do like the 40% versus 20%.
Was your estimate of killing the zones 5 and 6 because you felt 5 and 6 zones were in better shape, or was it because the linear footage of zone 5 and 6 got you down to that price point?
I think the way that we kind of presented this was that some of the areas in 5 and 6 have already been rehabilitated. First of all, there are some sections there, so we're just kind of jumping around to different locations. And then, as you kind of work your way up from zone 1 to zone 6, you're going further upstream in your system. So handling the downstream components we thought would be better than handling the upstream components.
That makes sense.
The
yeah.
more I&I is potentially going to collect itself, and work its way downstream and start upstream. So that's why I think you see in the bottom there in my little chart, I have the percentages and I say contiguous versus not contiguous. Like option 4, if we did zones 1, 2, and 3, skip 4 and then did 5, that zone 5 is sort of an outlier of the other zones. It doesn't connect to those other zones. So the preference was keep them contiguous, as much as contiguous as possible.
It's a separate Band-Aid.
It is. And again, zone 5 and 6 would be something that you guys would work on annually, just as part of that replacement thing. Just over the next 5, 10 years, get a little chunk at a time and catch up.
Well, with the completion of option 3, if we ran our numbers and watched what our intake was, we could see, based on what our numbers are now, whether or not we need to do anything about 5 and 6, because that may not have been where all of our problems were. Leaks.
Any other questions for Darren?
So I guess there's a couple things we need, whether you want to take action or not. I guess firstly, do we want to deem Granite Inliner a non-responsive contractor, as Graham was saying, and just stick with the in-situ form? That's one question. And then the other question is, do you want to rebid any of these?
Okay, so question, we'll break this down into 2 questions for the town council. First question is, do we want to declare Granite Inliner a non-responsive bid because they did not acknowledge the addendum items?
I'd make a motion for that.
Okay, got a first? Got a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. And then the second question is, do we want to pursue a rebid process? Toss these bids out completely and ask for companies to rebid the project?
Either or both.
I don't think we ought to throw big bid.
seems like a big risk, right?
Can
Seems
you
like a
make-
huge
can-
risk
can-
to say,
Can you rephrase that so we could all,
oh, okay, alright, so, we want to accept the current bids that have been presented to us and move forward at this point in time. So I can get a yay instead of a nay, I guess. Alright, so, sorry,
I make a motion that we accept that.
okay, got a first?
I'll second that.
Alright, got a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
So now you need to award
Well-
A and then to the lowest on B.
Well, do we award it now, Graham, or do we, you can award it, but I think you need to award it pending, like, SRF approval and stuff like that. I don't think you just blanket award it. You're not signing any contracts, mind you, I mean, this is just awarded, but yeah, I agree. But you should do it pending SRF, loan closing and SRF approval.
okay, so third question for the town council, do we wanna award our, the job contract to In Situ Form and Graves Construction and move forward with option 3? And now, what else do I need to word on that? That's it? Pending the SRF loan and closing on March 17th.
I'll make a motion to award to Instant Foam and was it Graves? Contingent on SRF loan approval and closing.
Said it better than I did, thanks. Alright, I got a first?
I'll second.
Okay, got a second, all in favor say aye. Aye, all
Aye.
opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Good,
So what I'll
good.
do for the next council meeting is I'll prepare the notice of award documents for each entity.
Okay,
And then you'll be able to sign them. Again, it'll still be contingent upon the closing and all that, but I believe that's the proper channel of recourse to go. Do they have to do anything further on the non-responsive side of it, you think, or?
Yeah, we'll just make sure that the minutes reflect the factors that were considered here. They're the statutory factors that you're considering in your determination.
okay. On a side note with that, Darren, with, there have been phone calls, to the office here asking about the bid results. Do I forward those people to GRW to
You
deal
do.
with?
You do,
Okay,
if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. In fact, I would prefer that.
Okay, yeah.
Call GRW. I don't wanna, I'm not, okay,
Yeah, we'll take it.
Thank
Very
you.
common for that to happen.
very good, very good. Okay, we ready to move on to the next item, or you have anything else?
I don't have
Is
anything
it?
else unless you have any questions for me.
Okay, next, item on the new business, water buoy contract for 2021. This is a company that, treats our pond, Stevens Pond, I think it's called, right? Stevens Pond? Stevens Pond, to keep the slime off the top of it. We pay them $992 for each treatment, right? If I remember correctly, the county reimburses us 50% of that, don't they? We send them in a,
They reimbursed us one time. I don't think we've sent anything to them for a year or so.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
have to look at his
Sure.
record.
I think I remember last time I talked to the Parks and Rec guy up at Henry County, if we send them building, they give us 50% back
Yeah.
as a treating the pond. So,
So in other words, we'd get 2 for 1.
yeah. Alright. So we have to accept this contract, so I need a motion from somebody.
I'll make a motion, we accept the contract.
Okay, got a first,
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Very good. Got that one. Alright, next item on new business, Menards purchase authorization. We're buying Menards.
It's just a paper that they send out every year, and they want printed names, and
I'd be okay
it's
with us
sent
buying
out to
them.
them, anybody who goes to Menards to charge.
Gotcha.
So I've got George, Pete, John, and me, and one of you guys probably should be on here too. Who wants to go to Menards? Well, John's on.
You can get great thing at Menards.
I go there all the time.
John? That's right. You wanna be on there, Mr. Vice President?
John on there.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll put
Matt,
John.
do you need to be on here maybe?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's all it is, it's just,
You can't buy a new light bar at Menards?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't plan on building anything.
Alright, anything else we need for that then, Jane? That's it? Okay. Next item, donation for Cascade Post Prom. So they are,
there, I guess. Saturday, April the 24th, I guess it's just gonna be out at Cascade. So we usually, I don't know how much we've given them before.
seems like last year we gave them 400.
That's what I was thinking. It's over.
350 was it?
We
400?
got $1,250 in that appropriation.
And they use that money to help fund the party and stuff there at the school.
So did we give them money last year?
They didn't have a fund last year, I don't think.
We allocated money for it.
There were
and
tours
then-
But we
did
never
a
actually sent it to
Yeah.
them.
They did a senior thing, didn't they?
No, you know what, I think we allocated money for
The senior prizes.
the breakfast, the year-end breakfast, and then school. They didn't have school, so we didn't give them that money. I'll have to go back and look and see whether we.
I
gave
thought they had
them
a
money.
senior awards thing or some
Yeah,
sort of senior
some-
celebration after graduation.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we give them $500.
Okay, got a first?
I'll second that.
Alright, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, $500 Cascades Post Prom Party. Alright, next item on here, we have a proposal from Wastewater Operations Corp. This is a private company. The guy that owns it lives down in Canby. He started this business to run different municipality wastewater treatment plants, and every year he sends us an email with, hey, I want to run your plant again. So I told him I would present it. I sent everybody an email with their quotation and their flyer. So any discussion on that? George is remaining quiet.
Yeah, no. I've got a lot I could say, but no.
I think our people are doing a fine job. I don't think they need anybody else.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Alright, I presented it as I told them I would. Next item on the agenda, John Todd, a licensed electrician, has been doing some work for us with different things. He wired our new fancy sign out front. He's done some other electrical work for us in town. And he has given us an estimate on converting these lights in here to LEDs, which would make this a little bit brighter, and they use less energy while they're on.
I don't know if we need it brighter,
That's what I was
We don't?
but they do flicker. Is he gonna fix that?
Yeah, they'll be brand new fixtures basically. So he'll take these fixtures out, put in LED fixtures, LED lights. And so while they're on, they burn less energy, and so,
Dimmable?
he actually sent this proposal, to our town manager about a year ago, and we just never saw it, but, remember Dan presented Duke Energy's proposal to us, almost 2 years ago now, and we didn't like that one, cause it was really high, but.
Streetlights?
Huh?
You're talking about streetlights?
No, no,
No.
these
Oh,
lights in
okay.
here.
Oh.
Duke Energy gave us an estimate on replacing all the lights inside the building, and some of it was kinda, I mean, they were saying it was gonna take an hour for each light bulb kinda thing, and so we all, I mean, I think, Dave, you were the only one that wasn't on the board,
I
and
was
none of us
thinking-
liked it. We all said, get another quote, and so we didn't see the other quote, but John presented him with one, and now we have it, so
Well,
it's up to you guys.
I told Bill the other day, of course, this being one of the old church, Gene Horner was their in-house electrician guy. I can remember up the ceilings here, we went up there a few times, some of that wiring, I don't believe up in code, if you've seen some of the stuff that Gene had done over the years, you know, I don't
wanna see it.
know if John would wanna look and you know, back me up on some of that. I'm thinking just for safety purposes only, you know, electrical wiring, you know. You see some of these old houses and stuff, if I remember right, some of them looks like that. Cause I had to crawl up to the ceiling before it was changed over to town hall. And I don't remember anybody doing much rewiring in here.
Alright, so that sounds like a different question.
Yeah,
John,
different.
you want John Todd to go through our building and just investigate all the wiring as well? And
I'd
see
say for
what-
safety purposes,
Especially if he's gonna mess with the lights, he might as well do that at the same time.
well, I don't know what it would cost, but
Yeah.
we can go that.
I mean, I could ask him,
He would look, yeah.
I could ask him to rebid based on, first go through everything, tell us what an estimate would be on any, if you find any problems,
Yeah,
that you'd wanna rewire.
yeah. Two quotes, yeah, that one and.
I can do that. Yeah, I mean, his quote that I sent you actually separated out just this room's lights versus the whole building. So, you know, we can, take it a piece at a time if we want, or like you're suggesting, we can ask him to look at the safety factor first, see what needs to be rewired or brought up to code, and then go forward from that.
I mean, I don't remember anybody doing it, but it may have gotten done in between some of the town hall remodels. All years, I don't remember anybody doing it.
Alright, so I'll ask John to we'll just ignore this bid so far. I'll ask him to rebid based on, one, the safety issue of, does any of our wiring need to be brought up to code? And then, if it does, include that in your bid, and we'll look at it again next month. Everybody good with that? Okay. John did, the fire station called me yesterday evening. They were without power most of the day. Not sure why it took them till the evening to call me, but, so John went and took a look at it today. The problem is on the Duke Energy side of the, meter though. So, we called Duke Energy, they didn't like the address I gave them for the fire station, which we have some address issues in town anyway, so I talked to the address coordinator up in Hendricks County today as well, so I'll have to try again tomorrow to get Duke Energy out here, but they didn't recognize 111, East Kentucky, which is what all the paperwork shows us. It's what the Beacon's website shows us, it's what Google Maps shows us, Duke Energy said that's not a valid address. So, I
So
guess,
wouldn't the wiring running from the pole to the top of their meter, the pole itself should have that reflective tag on it.
oh, I didn't go look at that.
Tells you
We'll
where,
have a tag number on it.
Doesn't?
yeah.
I didn't look at that. I just, John came here and told me he was over there looking at it. He said the wires are visibly frayed going into that pole.
And even with Duke, most of the time, you just have to give them the, like, Ohio and 39, and they know where to
Yeah,
go.
not today. She said, that's not a valid address. I said, can you come to the town hall and I'll take you over there? It's like, literally, right? She said, no. So we'll work on that, but John's been doing a lot of work for us for electrical, so that'll be easy to contact him tomorrow. Get that done. All right, next thing I have on new business is George Burnett.
All right, lots of good news. So our incubator showed up, so we should be getting a bill for
I
that
already got it.
from USA. And
Got
then
it and paid for it.
the sampler showed up, but they sent me the bill, so I have it to give to you.
Well, you pay for it.
Yeah, right. So I don't know about that. And then, if you recall, we said that, for the blowers down there, it was gonna run somewhere between 5 and, I thought around 5, and we said, okay, go to 10, give me a little cushion. It came in at $6,023, plus shipping. So I've got that, in product, address, but we're probably at 3 or 4 weeks out before all the stuff comes in and before they can schedule it. But, that was right on target for the numbers, so we should get all that in place and everything, you know, the incubator and all that stuff, they gotta come out and schedule it, so.
Who was the sample from?
Samplers from, B.O. Anderson,
Okay.
yeah. So they've billed for the actual incubator, they'll have to probably they'll bill separately when they actually come out and do the actual, installment.
Did you bring the bill with you?
I have,
I printed it for you, Jay.
Good.
sewer questions? No? Right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chief Oliphant, your turn.
I just wanted to follow up, where were we at with the noise ordinance? Do we ever did we get a draft on that, or?
No, I need to do that.
Okay. Maybe we can get it on the agenda for next month, because I was looking at some different noise meters, and I was gonna order one, but I was kinda waiting to see until we get that ordinance passed.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I think one of the questions that we had asked last time was how, what kind of noise meter, decimeter, I guess is what it's called, that you would
Right.
need to get for this.
Right.
And,
They're all different prices on Amazon.
Okay.
For that, but
all right,
Try
yeah,
to
we
get
can
that
work on
wrapped
that for next month and, try to get,
I don't think we've had any runs that I'm aware of at that residence we had some issues with, so hopefully that's calmed down a little bit. I know it's winter time, good job with Pete and John was out plowing snow and got the roads cleaned up in our last snow, and I think we're supposed to have a couple more snowstorms come in. It's pretty quiet around town in winter time. Things are going good.
all right. Thank you, sir. Chief Moffett emailed me right about 6:30 or so saying that he was at the scene of a house fire and didn't know if he would make it or not. I guess he didn't make it. I thought that was dedication to email me from the scene of a house fire. I'm like, there you go. But he sent his monthly report. Everybody get that in a email. I sent that. If you have any questions, I can try to make some sense of this, but seems like they're just as busy as they've always been over there at the fire station, so. They did get their, garage door openers installed already, and, they got the, 5 remotes, or 3 button, which there was a little miscommunication on that when, Dustin, Chief Moffett reported back to James, who was gonna order it. He went back and said they approved 5 openers. So that's the thought. Well, we don't even have 5 doors that need. So he called me, he's like, why did you guys approve 5? Oh, I said, no, 2 openers with 5 of the remote buttons. So the clickers part. So anyway, but they got it taken care of and installed before they started having the electrical problems.
You mentioned the electrical problems over there. Did they not have a backup generator system for the building?
At
or
the
is it-
fire station?
No.
They
Okay.
do not.
So will the doors open? Do they have some kind of backup power supply?
They
for
have
it?
to manually.
Yeah,
Sorry,
they would
emergency pull
pull
down.
that
Okay.
release and then lift them up manually.
Okay.
They do have 2 different breaker boxes going into the building because, which I just found this out today, years ago, our town hall used to be in a small
Correct.
part of that. So the town hall had their own breaker box and then the fire station had theirs.
Uh-huh.
So now they just use the whole building, but they have 2. So fortunately, that frayed wire is just to the smaller of the 2 that
Okay.
part. So, but it still is. We definitely need to get it fixed. But the food pantry has a brand new roof on it now. I had called around to get estimates after Marlene called me one Tuesday night after their normal night of handing out food and said that the leak had breached the ceiling and it was leaking dripping into the inside part of the building. So 5 Star Roofing was the one that had done work for us in the past, and I got the initial estimate, and that guy called 6 or 7 times within the next 24 hours, and then he had initially given us an estimate of 6,000, and then he dropped it to 4,900 because we weren't like, I'll give you a big discount. I'm like, there you go.
You need to hem haul around a little more.
And so far it's working, it's not leaking.
Not leaking. Good.
And
And
Pete was gonna go down today.
Pete said he's gonna
He
get the.
didn't know that they got.
He did, I went over there today.
on.
Oh, okay. But Pete's gonna fix the inside.
There's 2 spots in the ceiling there that,
Yeah.
where he said he would fix.
Pete does a great job working for us. He, a couple of weeks ago, the wind took one of our gutters off of the side of the town hall over here, this corner by the police station, and Jenny called him and he had it fixed back up there within a day, so it's pretty helpful. I don't know.
And then we wanted to, see if he would take the bucket truck down
Oh, right.
to
The
the library.
library they got a new flag and they were trying to put it up, but they were not physically able to reach wherever they were trying to put the flag up. So Judy asked, would it be okay if Pete used the bucket truck to put the flag up on the library's flagpole? We didn't see a problem with it. Anybody else have a problem with them doing that? Pete going down there and installing their flag for them?
No, while he's down there, there's still a
Or up
Christmas.
Yep, I saw that.
There's a
Oh.
Christmas flag that is out in front of the,
In front of the bank.
in front of the bank, so maybe he can catch that as
Oh,
he's
okay,
going
right,
down.
right. There you go. All right, you'll get those 2 birds. All right, I don't have anything else on our new business. Anybody else got items?
Town seal contest.
Okay.
is Posted.
Yeah.
Has been posted since the 1st.
And
There are no entries.
Has anybody got a hold of Cascade? Maybe they want to try to get their art class to do it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Let me
good
call,
idea.
I know Diana tomorrow, the art teacher, let me call her.
okay, Jenny's gonna call the art teacher. Anything else, Dave?
No, that's,
Okay.
I just wanted, that's up, it's up and posted, and I, did a Facebook post on it too.
That was helpful.
But what was weird was I posted that and really didn't get any attention to it. Doug goes in and posts something right after that and it gets like all kinds of attention. So I don't know, maybe you've
Oh,
got better
sorry.
luck doing it than I do.
I didn't know I stepped on your post.
No, you didn't. It was just like later that day or the next day, but whatever you post, it was about something about transportation and everybody was liking it.
So he paid him to do that.
Yeah, I think you're paying people. You're boosting your posts.
That's right. $10 here, $10 there. I mean, Facebook is fickle too, because there's some things that I go, oh, you're gonna love this information. Nothing, you know. And then something else that seems like trivial.
Well,
Or, I think like when the state health department said that here's the way to schedule your vaccine if you're 65 or older, I posted that and I didn't get a single like on that or anything. But, I thought, I mean, that would have been something people would have been like, yeah, let's do that.
That's something to do with time too, I think, when you post it. People
Yes.
are online.
So the deadline is end of February. Do we want to move that back?
I don't know. Leanne, you got anything you want to talk about?
Nope.
Valentine's Day, keeping the flower shop busy?
Gotta go back to work.
Alright. Alright, John, you got anything? Steve? Gonna get the,
The military banners are typeset and ahead of schedule, and she got 18, which is the amount of
post we
posters
have.
that we had to put them up.
That's
So
good
she said
news.
I'd be ready ahead by May for sure.
That's very good news. And we just have to agree to keep them up for that entire year, right?
You can take them down for like Christmas or whatever, and then put something.
Okay. Alright. And, can we just make sure, ask Pete to keep an extra special eye on them so that,
Yeah.
you know, one doesn't blow away or
Yeah.
people
But
pay.
she came and got, one of our banners to make sure that it was
Yeah.
that size, so they should be good.
That's gonna be exciting to see. I'm happy about that. Alright. So, anything else? Graham, circle back to you. Okay. Alright, do I have a consensus on adjourning our meeting? Okay, 8:17, meeting's adjourned.